Hi everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition, and today we're going to talk about the inevitability of change and how that really starts to twist and turn when you get into your ascension, and how you start to noticing how quickly things change. Now, when we're in our human existence and we're living out our human template, we don't notice change the same way. And I can remember living out my human template. And I can remember thinking that nothing really changed. It was always kind of the same. And I can remember kind of saying that. And there is that human phrase, and a lot of human phrases we say kind of come back, and I don't want to say mean something different, but they kind of do. They kind of mean something different later on, where we kind of sit there and we say it and it has a different ring to it. There's like a metaphor of higher consciousness in there when it says nothing really ever changes. And when you're in your human experience, a lot of stuff doesn't change, or it seems to take so long for things to change. And there seems to be this big gap where you can go 10, 15 years and it's like it's kind of all the same thing. Now technically, am I moving up in frequency? Yes. Technically, are there tweaks here and tweaks there? Yeah, but those major shifts might happen once every 10 years where, oh my God, I got married, or I graduated finally from college or high school, or there will be a big thing, but it's not a thing that happens like every year. There might be a big pinnacle here and there. Oh, I turned 21. Whatever your pinnacles were. And there's going to be so many different pinnacles for everybody, but you get where I'm going with that. It's going to be just one thing. You're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. I can't believe this is how this is. But the more you live in your human template, the more you realize things really aren't changing very much. It's all kind of the same. And I'll have a job, but it's kind of the same similar job I had before, or I'm doing the same kind of thing and nothing's really that exciting, or that sixth year of marriage is kind of similar to the fifth year of marriage, and it all kind of feels the same. Because we're not changing. We're not. Now that's true, and that's not going to be true. We're changing in a sense that we're always ticking up. We're changing in a sense we're never always the same. But we're ticking up to such a slow amount, we're not reorganizing the outside world. And we really start to notice that more once we get into our ascension and we start trying to shift the outside. We want it to materialize differently, and we're trying to change inside first. So we're going back to we remember how to do it, and that takes years. It takes a long time to get these remembrances, to start forgetting our human life, to start getting into how do realities get created? How did I create that? Why did I create that? That's a fucking mess. Why did I do that? Why do I want to keep playing in that reality? I did a video, I don't know. Sometime I talked about why do we want to run back into some that are so distorted and miserable, but we just want to go back to them because we don't believe there's something else, or I feel like I put so much time into that, I want to stay there. It's the theory of a sunken cost in a sense. And if anyone's in the business sector, they know what that means. It means you've spent the money. Don't keep throwing money at something that's not working. The money's already spent. It's done. It's a sunk cost. And a lot of these realities are sunken realities. All of our human realities turn out to be sunken realities. There's no point in going back to it. Yet we still kind of feel that pull to go back to it. And we have to really kind of look at what do we want out of it. And we do a lot of dissecting of those realities eventually. In the beginning, we don't do that. In the beginning, we kind of just sit there and we're like, well, I don't know what's going on. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to go back to it. But then the more we go back and it doesn't work, we really start to have to dissect, why are we here? And it goes into that phrase, you don't want to burn bridges. And in our human existence, we burned bridges in a different way. Right? We burn bridges by not really coming to a conclusion, by not really closing out the reality. We would just want to walk away from it. We want to run off the damn bridge. We don't want to sit there with someone on the bridge and discuss why this isn't working, why I need to walk off the bridge. I don't want to do that, so I just want to run away. And by running away, in a sense, it's another old, this is all about cliches today, the other old cliche, which is all deeped in apparently cosmic law at this point, and now I forgot the cliche. Then I said cosmic law, it was gone. Oh, I got it. not doing something is actually doing something. You know, if you're not making a move on doing something, that's a move. It's not a proactive move in a sense, but it is a move. You know, if you're not, you know, doing something to create a reality, I mean, you're causing a reality not to be created. You're technically trying to you're creating something else. But not doing something, it's doing something. It's just not a proactive way to do it. So by not doing something, by running away, technically we burn that bridge. Very few people will, quote, burn a bridge by, you know, really blowing up their reality. That's not how the human works. That's not how our human ticks it. You know, our human is not going to look at it and go, oh, I'm just going to burn that damn thing down. We look at, you know what? I'm going to dip and dodge out of here, pretend like I never was on this bridge. I never want to see any of these people again. Don't call me. I'm going to just back my way off this bridge and run. Get the hell out of here. That's burning a bridge to a human. Now, when we get into our higher consciousness realities, we start trying to align everything on a soul level. We start to go inside, and that's what ascension is. It's anchoring in your higher consciousness, but you have to go inside to do that. It's not outside in, it's inside out. And when we start working on that deep within ourselves, we start to notice how long it takes the outside to change. You know, and I can look back in my human existence and say, wow, it was nothing ever changed. You don't realize the magnitude of what you have to do to actually reconfigure your reality. Reconfigure the reality, reconfigure the people, reconfigure where you are, reconfigure how you relate to someplace you've been, even going back to a place you've been, but feeling it's an all new timeline. Everyone in it acts different. The place feels different to you. It's not the same anymore because we change inside first, and we still see how slow. And I'm gonna say it feels slow because when you're actively in your ascension process and you're actively in your consciousness process, it feels like it takes forever for a reality to start to align. You know, you feel like you're in this sort of purgatory for a long time. You're clearing programming, you're straightening out your human realities, you're trying to close out your human realities, you're trying to figure out what does it mean to live as a higher self. You're trying to remember what that feels like to be connected with yourself, because we're all so disconnected in our human existence and our living from our human consciousness. There's no connection at all, so we reach out and try to connect with so many other things because we have no connection. And the more we have no connection, the harder and harder it gets for us to fill that void, and we keep trying to fill it with all this stuff that doesn't do anything. We try to shift things externally, but none of those shifts really, none of those, it's like you're just window dressing. You know, I'm just taking the same thing and I'm trying to, it's all about the cliches today. I'm trying to put lipstick on a pig and say it's something different. It's still a pig. It's still the same thing. I'm just trying to make this look different. So the magnitude of what we have to change internally first, and the length of time it can take for that, the latency factor on watching our realities can be frustrating. You know, it can be frustrating. We wonder, do I do it right? And then you see, even if you look at other people and it looks like their realities are changing really fast, and you're like, well, how come my reality's not changing really fast? But then when you start to really look at it, like really look at it, and sometimes you'll see people's realities changing really fast because they might still be playing out, trying to maneuver it externally. And I'm not saying we don't maneuver things externally, because we do, but we do it from the internal connection. We know what chess piece to move. We know what chess piece is not supposed to move yet, even though it might feel like the linear move our human would like to make. We know it's not the time for that move. We look at things vibrationally. What vibrationally needs to go now? What's the next piece from a vibrational standpoint? It's not from a linear standpoint, and it will never be from a linear standpoint, because we can't look at it like that. We no longer look at it like that. You're going to find yourself doing things that make no logical sense to anybody else. In fact, you look like a raving lunatic to other people a lot of times. So the stuff you do, because it doesn't have a linear logical pattern. So you're going to make changes to your outside. It's just not going to be what someone would think makes sense. But you're doing it from that internal connection. You're only going to be able to do it if you feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. I could do to, like, this week I had something I had to do at some point. I couldn't do it at the beginning of the week because I wanted to do it for the wrong energetic reasons, in a sense. And I don't want to probably use the word wrong, so not just to make a point on that. It was a very distorted energetic reason of losing that reality. I have to be okay with that reality going away until I can then actually come forth and say, okay, now let me see, can I realign this reality? When I'm okay either way, and then you feel the press to, you really have to, you have to be the bridge here. You know, that's why when we go back to the bridge, when we talked about burning the bridges, we build the bridges. You know, we don't burn the bridges. No matter how distorted a reality will be, we can still stand in that reality and build a bridge to something else. And people can, and then we can walk off the bridge, and people can choose to come with us, or they can choose not to come with us. A majority of the people will choose not to come with you in the beginning, because they're still doing, they've got their own process to work through. They have their own ascension dates, you know, they have their own timeline, they have their own higher aspects of themselves. And they might have more stuff they have to work through, and they might be holding on to old realities. You might be able to see that they're clutching hard to stuff that's going to collapse anyway. You know, I can see that in a lot of people, and they keep trying to rearrange the outside. I did the same thing. I can't sit there and point a finger at anybody. I did the same thing. You're trying to hold on to it because you don't have the connection to really feel the next thing. So we don't really burn the, we can't burn the bridges. We don't go back and walk over them again. You know, it's, we can walk off the bridge, but we don't run back. We don't replay out the reality anymore. We close the reality out. We explain why we're closing the reality out. We don't run away from it, because the minute we run away from it, what you'll find is, you know, that is, in a sense, when you run away, when we do it from our human ego, when we do it from our human consciousness, we're running away from that. We don't want to take the time to close it out in its highest place. All we're going to do is do a big circle and come back to the same damn bridge again. We technically can't burn it. Because we're just going to energetically keep repeating the same thing. Because when you tell your universe, what you're saying energetically is, I can't handle this right now. We're going to have to tee it up again with new people, new setting. We can even make a whole new location, but we got to do the whole thing again. So let's just cast a new crew, or we'll just do a sequel and bring everyone back again. We're going to do it again. We're going to keep doing it until I can prove I can close this out, because that means I can now move on. It's very much like a video game. You're going to have to play it out and play it out and play it out until you figure out, what do I have to do here to get out of this? You know, what is the trap door I can pull here? What do I have to do to move on? In the beginning, we don't know that. So we do kind of burn bridges. We do kind of run away from stuff. You know, we try to change the outside. We don't really look at things because we don't have the capability to yet. But when you look back, and I don't make very many promises, but this is one promise I will make. When you look back over your human life, and then you look back over your years you've gone through your ascension process or your awakening, wherever phase you are, whether you're in awakening, pre-ascension, ascension, they're all different parts of a very big process. Post full body ascension and into more clearing and more going into oversoul consciousness, or going on to your 12th dimensional template, or anchoring in, you know, wherever you are, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter where you are. But what you're going to go back, when you look to your human, how, God, I stayed in that place for, you know, I can look back and go, boy, I was in that same space energetically, not just physically. But that is a marker too. You realize when you start changing energetically, your physical surroundings have to change. We can't go through ascension and keep our body in the same place, because we have to move our body to different places. We have to be activated by different places. We have to be able to see if we can. Can we live alone? Can we live by ourselves? Can we then go and live with other people again? You know, can we live in this location? Can we take something that might not look like it's much and turn it into something else? What are we going to be able to do? And how can we do it all from the highest possible place that we can reach in that moment? And that takes time. It takes a lot of linear time to be able to do all of those things. But when you really look back, you're going to find your human life ticked very slowly. And you might have stayed in the same energetic space for so long that nothing really changed externally for a long, long time. And then you'll get to your ascension and think, boy, that moves slow. But the reason it feels like it moves slow is because you notice the energetic changes. You notice the signs. You notice different realities trying to come in. You notice when some are trying to come in and they're not aligned, and you kind of shut that down because it's not time yet for that. It's time for me to go over here. But you can feel the shifts. There's 9-month cycles, there's 2-year cycles, there's 3-year cycles, there's 5-year cycles, there's 7-year cycles, there's 21-year cycles. There's all these cycles in your life. There's all those cycles in your human life. But you really start to be able to pick up on the shifts. When you've shifted internally, when something feels a little different. So it still feels slow because you notice every minute change that you didn't pick up on before. But what might have taken you 10 years before, you work through in 2 years. And it seems like for me, every 9 months to 2 years, almost 2.5 years, and that's basically from everyone who does this journey, that seems to be a very similar time frame, 2.5 years to really rebuild your template and get to your next template, because you're kind of building it. You're reconciling the template you're in, you're building your new one, you're doing everything kind of concurrently. It's not like I'm just going to focus on one thing. That's a very human way for us to look at it. We're really doing multiple things, and we're doing it from all different consciousnesses in all different places. So when we get to certain spaces, we're going to look back but you're going to be able to see like, boy, I felt like that moved so fast, but I can go back and go, actually moved it felt like it moved so slow, but actually it moved pretty fast, considering the vast amount we're doing. And that's if you're dedicating everything to it, it feels slow. If you've got a family, if you've got children, it's going to feel even slower and probably go a little bit slower because you can't dedicate everything you have to this journey. That's why a lot of people start this journey once their kids are grown, or they start this journey, before they even have children, and they're not going, or if they're not going to have kids, because there are certain human entanglements, in a sense, certain things we have to do. There's still agreements we made we have to fulfill, but when we start doing a lot of that stuff, it can kind of sidetrack your ascension for a while, because you have something else, you have another thing you have to do first. So really look at, is it really taking that long to do something? I feel like for me, time goes very quickly, in a sense, in a way but we're really kind of slow inside, but I can notice like, wow, it's been kind of quicker than I thought, or I can't believe that much time has passed, because we do kind of dissociate from time, and we kind of, we move with it, but we're not kind of constrained by it. So what can really be a long time for people, I'll be like, oh, it hadn't felt like it's been that long. It feels like it was just the other day, and it could be years since I've seen people. Could be years since I walked off the bridge that they stood on, and said, I'm going to go on to a different reality. I'll be over here if you want to follow. And if not, then, I'll come to another bridge at some point, and maybe you'll get a different aspect of them standing on it. But we really have to look at when we try to go back, and when we feel that pull to go back, look at the reasons why. And that's a big indicator where you're coming from and what you're creating. We really don't want to create any more karmic timelines, and sometimes we'll kind of oops and do one, and we'll kind of know, we're like, oh, shit, I know what I just did there. Let me see. I'll take it. Let me see if I can fix this before this comes around, because it comes around and slaps us a lot quicker because we move so fast. It's going to come around and slap you a lot faster. So the minute you've done it, you're like, oh shit, I just created something. I really don't want to have to see the end of that. I really would like to just be able to forget about that one, and what do I have to do to get out of it? We really look at what we do, and we don't just look at it. I can remember looking at timelines before and thinking, oh, well, I don't think there's anything in that for me. There's nothing there for me. I can remember saying that, and I'm like, well, shit, it's not about you. You're not, in a way, you're going there because you have certain things you have to do, and it's for your process. But you're looking at it from a human existence of what's in it for me. What's in that for me, looking at it from what my human would look at. Those are nothing there I really want to do. So why would I want to go there? Why would I want to live there? It's nothing there for me. But I'm looking at it from a very human existence. I wasn't looking at it from my ascension existence, my higher aspects of, it's not just about you. You've got contracts there. You have things you have to do. Now, yes, are you going to be doing other things while you're there for your process? Of course you will be. We always are. Everything we do is for our ascension process. But in that moment, look at what we might be saying. I don't want to go over that bridge. I don't want to I don't want to go through that. It's nothing there for me. Look at what part of you is talking there and be able to really separate that out. Who is talking here? Am I looking at, and if you have me in the sentence, you know who's talking. It's not the highest aspect of you that's looking at that reality. It's the unconscious aspects of us. So, okay. Keep practicing the art of intuition.